Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Moffett, and I'm going to be talking about automation and what to expect for the future. The reason I chose automation is because I find it really fascinating itself and the implications. Number one, because through little human interaction, we basically have some inputs that get transformed into products or pieces that we interact with every day, and maybe we don't realize it. And the second reason I find it really interesting is because um, this will be basically the beginning of a new industrial revolution, and it'll be very interesting to see what that brings to us. The president of the International Federation of Robotics, Joe Gemma, essentially affirmed that and says the robotic boom is laying down an important milestone in the realization of the fourth industrial revolution. I have to agree with that. When considering automation, there's quite a variety of automation to think about. There's obviously automation in the service industries, and there's automation in the entertainment industries, but I'd like to focus more specifically on manufacturing and industrial automation. Industrial automation is the use of control systems such as computers or robots and information technologies for handling different processes and machineries in an industry to replace a human being. When looking at the current state of automation in the manufacturing and industrial industries, I didn't find quite as much information as I kind of thought I would. This is still kind of a new concept, I suppose, and people are still looking for different avenues of exploration, I guess. What we do see in 2015 is that sales increased by 15%, and that is the largest in any preceding year, and that accounts for almost 254,000 units on a global scale. And internationally, the market value for the robotic systems is about 32 billion US dollars, so that's a pretty substantial amount. This growth is concentrated in a few specific industries, one of which is the metal industry, which grew by 39%, the electronics industry, which grew by a pretty astonishing 41%, chemical, plastic, and rubber industry, which grew by 16%, and these were basically all subsectors of the automotive industry, which was a pretty big driver of some of those growth rates. An interesting way to gain perspective on the recent growth rates is to look at this timeline, the estimated worldwide annual supply of industrial robots, and you can see shortly after the recession hit, there was a pretty dramatic decrease in 2009. I'm kind of surprised at that. I would have anticipated with less money or less drive in the force, companies would be interested in sort of mitigating their costs for labor. That doesn't seem to be the case then, but it does seem to have taken effect shortly thereafter. You can see 2010 to 2015, there is a pretty sharp increase in the investment into industrial robots. Okay, another graph I find really interesting is this U.S. productivity and employment graph. Essentially, it compares productivity measured against private employment. That is basically employment outside of the government. Beginning in 1947, we see a divergence leading all the way up till 2013 when it ends, but it's an increasing divergence the whole way. If we remember the timeline that we just saw, it is possible to see where there could be a potential correlation between investment into industrial robots and the employment rate. Also to be noted, around this time with this level of divergence, there's about 200 million unemployed globally. So if this level of divergence equals a 200 million person gap in employment globally, and we can consider maybe down the road what exactly that will entail. Since there aren't as much industry-wide numbers as I had anticipated or even wanted, I thought we could take a look at a more specific case, that is Evenwen Precision Technology and Electronics Processing Company in Dongguan, China. I feel Evenwen is a pretty prime example to take a look at because it is just this type of business and industry that will be utilizing automation and growing in the future in that direction. What Evenwen did was replace 90% of their 650 employees with automated processes, and the 60 that remain are engineers and accountants. And their CEO recently stated that they're expecting to reduce that number actually down to 20. For all that effort, Evenwen claims that their productivity rose about 250% and their defects fell from 25 to 5%. I'm a little astonished myself that a business with defective products up to 25% can still make money, but that's another story. When considering the future state of automation, we basically have to expect that there will be an exponential growth in this type of manufacturing. In 2018, it's estimated that there will be 1.3 million industrial robots in circulation. There will be continued or accelerated growth in every market, every single market, and there will probably be a proliferation of lights out manufacturing. To essentially sum up what would have been in the video, um, this is it's actually the Constellation Brewery that makes Modelo and Corona. They have a manufacturing facility that employs 6 people per shift. The rest is fully automated. They have 58 robots and 70 laser-guided vehicles. Those vehicles actually take the place of 240 forklifts and an almost equal amount of forklift operators. There are probably as many solutions and responses to technological unemployment as there are people, because it basically just comes down to an opinion. But the first is that there is no problem. Technological unemployment is a myth. That's known as the Luddite fallacy. What the Luddite fallacy says is that technology only displaces workers, and by causing cheaper prices, it spurs consumer demand, which creates more jobs. The second is the resource-based economy. In a resource-based economy, the principle states that all goods and services are available without the use of money, credits, barter, or any other system of debt or servitude. All resources become the common heritage of all inhabitants, not just a select few. Now, to some, this looks a lot like socialism, but to others, it may be a solution. The third approach is one highly advocated by Elon Musk, and that is unconditional or universal basic income. The principle states is that whether or not an individual works, there will be a guaranteed provided income. To many, this also looks like socialism, but it does work to save the framework of market capitalism through providing funds for people to spend and continue the consumer market. The main question behind this is, where does the money come from to begin with? I hope you all find automation and its implications as interesting as I do. Let me know what you think. Will technology pose any risk to employment in the future? And if so, what will happen to our society and how will we cope?